Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Gage. I'm here with HBI Auto Detail. In today's video, we're going to be going over wheels on this Porsche Cayenne GTS. We're basically going to be talking about washing, caring for your wheels, coatings, a bunch of different things like that. And this will kind of be one episode out of a series that we're going to make, kind of just breaking down detailing. So whether we're talking about windows, washing your exterior car, doing the interior, or really just anything else to do with detailing. So yeah, first episode, first increment, wheels. Okay, so before we dive into actually washing the wheels and anything really going over them, period, we're going to talk about our tools and our products first. So what we've kind of made the move to is this product called Brake Buster. The reason why we kind of really stand by this product is because it doesn't have those bad smells, it's not a harsh smell, and it's not acidic or damaging to the wheels by any means, so it's super easy to just spray it on, leave it on there, you let it soak. It has chemicals that come with iron remover and like fallout remover and stuff like that, so it kind of just decons the wheel while it's doing it to get all of that brake dust off. This product's super great. You can get it in 5 gallon, 1 gallon, or I'm pretty sure you can either get it in the smaller spray bottles. Yeah, we started using this a while ago and it's something we heavily stick by. It's quick, it's simple, it's cheap, and it works. The second thing to go over before you actually start washing your wheels is your tools and your brushes. So we've got the wheel well brush that we use. This is from Easy Detail. I recommend these a lot. I think they're personally better than the wheel woolies. The only problem with these is that this whole little shaft it sits on is metal. And so with that being said, the more and more you're using it, and just over time, eventually that metal wears down and it will eventually snap. We're trying to fight that battle a bit, and so we're kind of experimenting to see what we can and can't do to make it stop doing that. But highly recommend these for wheel wells. They also come with a smaller one too. You don't have to necessarily get these as big. The second thing I got is this tire brush. You can use Brake Buster as a tire cleaner as well. So while you're going in doing your barrels and your faces and stuff like that, just around your tire and then just let it sit, kind of let it soak in and start to pull stuff out of it, and then go over it with your tire brush. Third thing that we use is just this little basic detail wheel brush. These work great, especially for faces that are big open face wheels, and you can kind of just go in and, or when you've got to go in through these, they work great. Or you can use a rag, and even just doing that, I've got tons of black on my finger. But yeah, so those are kind of the tools that we stick with. A lot of people I know will take the bristles on these brushes and cut them shorter to make them stiff. These ones are already stiff long, but on this brush we've cut them down shorter just because. So yeah, that's kind of the tools. The next product we have here is Hyper Dressing by Meguiar's. The thing that Hyper Dressing really comes in good use for is engine bay, black plastic, stuff like that, but wheels. Especially when you've got these matte black wheels that a lot of these Cayennes come with. Basically these wheels are super hard to get looking good, and most matte black wheels are. And so what you can do with Hyper Dressing is you spray it on there when you're done cleaning it, let it sit, wipe it all in, and then give it a good buff, and it'll kind of leave it with this good shine that's a lot better than what it's going to look like when you finish actually cleaning the wheel. Because even if you sit there and take your time cleaning these, 7 out of 10 times they're going to come out not looking that great. So you spray some Hyper Dressing on it, kind of buff it in. It's almost like sprayable tire shine. Meguiar's gives you dilution, so you can kind of change your finish. You can either get a satin finish, a high gloss finish, a medium gloss finish, anything like that. It's also water-based, and it's not going to do any kind of slinging, especially if you do buffing off afterwards. 10 out of 10 recommend Meguiar's Hyper Dressing to get your matte black wheels looking good when you're actually done cleaning them. So now we're going to get into washing these wheels. So as you can tell, they're pretty dirty. We've also got a fairly dirty tire and some fender liner that is pretty destroyed just because this thing has been driven and it's just kind of been beaten on. It's just a daily driver. So you're going to go in, and usually we do a rinse first, so we kind of just get everything out, and then you can use this. And most of the time with these, they have cloth fender liners, and so you can go in with this and you can spray most of the stuff that's in there out. It's pretty much just grass, rocks, gravel, and just a bunch of grossness from just driving on the roads that'll kick up into it. So you can pretty much get all of that out by spraying it with a pressure washer. If not, you go in, spray a little bit of Brake Buster just to spray some Brake Buster, and then take one of your Easy Detail brushes that we usually use for wheel wells, go in for your fender liner and just kind of knock it all loose around in there. and then spray it all back out, and that'll usually just drain all right out of the fender liners. And then you can hop into your tire, your wheel, and your calipers. Now that we've got our fender liner cleaned up and ready to go, we're gonna go ahead and just basically just kind of rinse off everything that's sitting on the outside of the wheel and the tire. And that way now you can go in and you can spray your brake buster. So we usually just tackle barrels. You want to just get all in there. And then make sure you get some on your caliper too, so that way it just sits. Go ahead and spray your tire. And now personally, what we like to do is we like to let the product sit and dwell when we spray things, because now it's starting to pick stuff up and lift it off. So you get a couple seconds, maybe 30 seconds to a minute to just sit, and then you can take your easy detail brush and you can go through your barrel, and we'll knock all the stuff out of that. I'll show you that, and then we'll take our tire brush and we'll just start cleaning off the tire to get all the dirt and everything sitting on the outside of the tire off. Now the brake buster has had some time to sit and dwell on this tire and this wheel, and as you can tell, it actually kind of turns brown, and that's from all the dirt and all the stuff that's sitting on the face of the tire. So what we'll do is we can go in and we can do, it really doesn't matter what order you go in. At the end of the day, you're cleaning it, period. We'll go in and we'll just do the tire. So you really want to make sure that you spend some time on your tire, because they don't necessarily come clean as quickly as anything else really would. So you do have to kind of bear down, make sure you get everything out, and make sure you're really just working that brush and all that product on the tire. Next, we're going to go in with our wheel brush, or our wheelbarrow brush, and we can just knock out the barrels of these. And this is super simple. You just go in between each spoke and just kind of attack at it, get it all agitated and stuff, and get all the dirt and grime that's kind of built up on the inside of this barrel all loose. That way you can spray it off with the pressure washer when you're done. Okay, so now we finished up just kind of agitating and attacking the wheelbarrow of these wheels, and we finished up the tire, so we're going to go ahead and just rinse it all down. As you can see, as you're rinsing it, you literally see all of the dirt and grime start to fall off through all the product. Okay, so the last thing to touch up with these wheels is the face, and to really get in there and get out the caliper with our face like wheel brush. So we'll go in, set this on there. We've already sprayed this wheel 2 or 3 times just throughout this video, so it's already had time to sit and kind of just dwell on it. So we're not really worried about that. But we'll respray it just to get some product back on there. Make sure you kind of get out your brake caliper. And then you can go in with your simple little detail brush. And this is what you just, I like to go around the outside edge first. And you just attack that. And then you can kind of go onto the actual face and get in your lug nuts and stuff like that real good. And this is just the outer face of the wheel too. You want to make sure that when you're doing this, after you're done hitting the actual outer face, you go in and you really get in between all of these spokes and all that. That way you don't just have dirt just sitting on the inside of these spokes. Like so. And then, once you've kind of finished going in between all the spokes and stuff like that, you want to go in the spokes and try and get out your caliper as best as you can. I know a lot of times these are angled pretty weird, and especially when you have wheels like this that have so many different things, it's all really in your way. But just go in there, just kind of flick around and agitate, and if you see a spot that has dirt on it, make sure you definitely go a little bit extra on that, but just kind of hit the whole caliper just to get it agitated. If there's anything loose or anything sitting on the top, it'll come off when you go to pressure wash it. But now we're here and we've attacked the face, we've attacked the calipers and stuff like that, so we can go ahead and rinse. So your wheel's looking pretty wet black. It looks pretty nice. I can't necessarily say that these are what they're gonna look like when they dry, so we're gonna let them dry, and then hopefully we'll be able to show you guys why we use hyper dressing to bring these wheels kind of back to looking like this. Because once they're dry, they obviously do not stay that way, and with hyper dressing, you kind of have more luck being able to bring it back out like that. So we're gonna let this dry, and then we'll kind of give you guys a look as to what they look like when they are dry, and then we'll hit it with some hyper dressing. The face of this wheel and the barrel and stuff like that has started to kind of dry itself out, so you can get a look at what it looks like when you've cleaned it and it starts to dry. It doesn't necessarily look bad. I would definitely say it looks 10 times better than what if you came back here and you looked at a dirty wheel looks like. So with this, you've still got, you've got all this grime and dirt and blackness all on here. Like it kind of just bakes onto these wheels, and because they're matte, it just makes it look even worse. But then you come up to the cleaner one, you can definitely tell that it's cleaner. But I can't say that it really has the look that I'm going for, and I know they're matte wheels, but I feel like with a satin or if you dilute the hyper dressing enough to where you don't necessarily have so much hyper dressing in the bottle, you can kind of keep the matte finish, but it'll still bring out the wheel. It really looks good after you've tied them up with hyper dressing. So we'll show you that. So we've got 2 rags to use with our hyper dressing, and we've got our hyper dressing diluted to more of a natural finish to like a medium gloss. Because especially if people want to keep the matte look of the wheel, then you don't want to just go in and make it super shiny. You can still definitely keep that matte finish, but like I said again, it definitely brings the wheel out. So we'll just go in, just give it some sprays. You want to make sure you kind of cover every inch of the wheel. Let it sit for a second. So you're going to have one buff rag, and then, this rag is going to go in, and you're going to use this to dry all the hyper dressing that's sitting on the wheel. And then this, you'll buff any spots that you need. You'll go in, just dry this hyper dressing. So now we've got it dried off, we can go in with our buff towel, and you just kind of buff the spots of hyper dressing that are still there that look a little bit more shiny than the rest of the wheel. That way it all comes together with a nice blend and a good finish. So just go in and buff around these. We didn't blow these wheels out, we just let them air dry, and so we do have water drips coming out of the lug nuts, but typically that's something you can just blow out, and that'll take care of that problem. But we'll just dry it or buff it around. So now that we've got most of this hyper dressing kind of all buffed off, you can see you've still got that matte finish, but now it looks like a real black. It doesn't look all brownish, or it doesn't have any sort of tone to it that kind of makes it look dirty. But it's got a pretty finish on it, and especially coming back again and comparing it to the old dirty wheel to what the other one looks like, you've got a bit of a difference. And we'll take pictures and we'll show you guys some pictures here in a second. That way you can really start to understand the difference between a dirty matte black wheel and a clean or hyper dressing finish, cleaned up matte black wheel. The last part of this is tire dressing. This is a product we forgot to go over at the beginning, but this is Pearl, made by CarPro. It's a water-based silicone dressing, so just like hyper dressing, just not the sprayable version. You go in, just do a wipe, kind of buff it all in and stuff like that, and it starts to shine that black up. So we use this for our tires. The best thing about Pearl is that it doesn't sling. So when you apply this, it sticks, it stays, you can buff it off, you can keep it there, but it will not sling while people are driving. So it's not just causing a bunch of throwback onto the rest of your car. So you just go in, take a red pad to it or any sort of kind of applicator that you use. These are our favorite applicators. We use these for a lot. And just spread it all around there. And you can kind of see while you're doing this, you see all the light parts to the tire and everything that you need to hit. And so you're not necessarily too worried about missing things so long as you're paying a bit of attention. But now we've got a nice finished tire and a nice finished wheel. That's Pearl. We highly recommend this product for tire dressing just because it's something that we've stuck with for quite a bit now because it's never really done us any wrong. Thanks for stopping by and watching this video, guys. Like I said, this was kind of the first episode out of this series, so this one we focused on wheels. The next time, we don't know what we're gonna focus on, but it could be just an exterior wash, engine bay, windows, vacuuming, a bunch of different things. Basically, everything detail related, we're gonna kind of break down in this series. So again, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one, and keep an eye out for our next video.